Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Cropper here. We're going to be doing a video on Disenthral's video titled Let's Discuss Objectivism versus Volunteerism with Victor Pross. Now, I have nicknamed the two gentlemen Blind Man and Hershey's Kiss because he does have a Hershey's Kiss just on top of his forehead. So, if I need to refer to them, I don't know their real names, I can call them Blind Man and Hershey's Kiss. At 17 minutes and 30 seconds into the video, we're going to go back a little bit, but right now we're going to start there, because it's fun. Let's see what he says.
Now I've been recently exposed to a lot of the hostility because, when you speak out against an objectivist spokesperson, you get the response from their audience, and it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me.
Yeah, you couldn't hear that, but he says when you speak out against an objectivist spokesperson, you hear from their audience. And I just wanted to congratulate you, ladies and gentlemen, on making him say that. Because when he attacks Huron Brook, for example, he hears from you guys. So good job. Good job being on the case. Now, that was just a little bit of fun to start off. We're going to go to 12 minutes and 17 seconds. With my handy little clicker thingy here, and he's going to say that objectivists view man as rational as long as there is a government involved. But when there's not a government involved, suddenly humans are not rational. Let's hear what he has to say.
This is where the objectivists take a departure from their heroes such as John Locke and go over to Hobbes, because they think of man as the rational animal, of course, but within the context of a government that protects individual rights. You take that away, all of a sudden we revert not to the John Locke conception of human nature, but to the Hobbesian sense of nature, of human.
So, we act rational until there's no government, and then we act in a Hobbesian way. Is that true? No, that's not true. He's extremely confused, isn't it? Isn't he? We haven't said that taking away the government and going with the state of anarchy would make human beings change their nature from rational to insane. We haven't said that. What we've said is that if you take away the government, somebody will start using force and everybody else will defend themselves. That is the only claim that we make about anarchy. And we believe that once one person's trying to use force against other people and the other people are defending themselves, we believe that you're either going to have some sort of warfare or you're going to solidify it into like kingdoms or police forces or armies. That's what we believe. We do not believe that taking the government away causes everybody to go insane and become irrational. We believe that only one person needs to act irrationally, or not even that, because rational men can have honest disagreements. And that's what a court of law is for. So what if you have two rational men who honestly both disagree about a subject, about who owes who how much money? And you can judge them if you want. You can judge them psychologically and say, I think that really he doesn't believe what he's saying. You can judge him like that if you want. But on the surface, as a matter of fact, two honest men say they disagree about a fact. That happens. What are you going to do in an anarchy society where there's no government to enforce things? You've got to be able to decide these things. So they are straw manning, aren't they? This is classical straw man stuff. Now we're done with that right there, aren't we? We're going to skip to 20 minutes and 7 seconds, and my notes tell me this is a setup. And this is a setup for the stuff at 21 minutes and the stuff at 20 minutes and 40 seconds. So, let's hear what they have to say here.
To it, not in the movement as such. And I can explain what I mean why that is the case, is that when you take the non-aggression principle and you take the Randian conception of individual rights, if you really dig deep into it and apply an understanding to both, you can clearly see that there's no conflict. Of course, the application of the recognition of individual rights applies to the fact that the only way that you can violate rights, as Rand would say, would be through the use of physical force, which is what the anarcho-capitalists are against. That's where the non-aggression principle comes at hand.
Okay, the only way you could violate rights is physical force. They believe that you should not initiate force against others, the non-aggression principle.
So, if ethics is something that rests upon politics, and if...
Wait, what? If ethics is something that rests upon politics... Now, he's surely misspoken, hasn't he? He realizes that politics rests upon ethics. I hope he's misspoken.
Being quite expert in the Aristotelian approach to logic, of the art of logic as being the art of non-contradictory identification, this is where I get baffled as why the objectivist can't see how government contradicts this ethical approach.
Okay, there's the meat. Objectivists can't see how government contradicts this ethical approach, the non-aggression principle. How is it that government contradicts? And he says it's plain. It's plain. He has simply made it plain right there, hasn't he? Well, how do we contradict the non-aggression principle? We're going to get to guns in a second, so hold that in your thoughts. If you want to get to it sooner, don't go there yet. So, is it an act of initiation of force to set up a government? That is their claim, isn't it? That is an act of initiation of force to set up a government. Now, we do not say that the use of physical force is immoral. Okay? That is what they keep going back to. That's the non-aggression principle. We do not say that the use of physical force is immoral. Objectivists do not say that. We make a very, very different claim. We claim that the initiation of force is immoral. Not the use of force. The initiation of force is immoral. There's nothing wrong with using force. There's only something wrong with people who start out using it. So if you build up a castle and you have people with swords and you only go out and molest people if they do something bad, then what have you, bad as in they hurt someone else's rights, then what have you done that's bad? You're protecting rights. So as long as you build the government properly, but we'll see that they are so confused. Their morals are on the level of a communist. They're so confused they can't tell the difference between one government and the next. Okay. Government itself contradicts the non-aggression principle. No, it doesn't. You don't commit an act of aggression by building a government. You simply ready yourself for the people who are going to commit acts of aggression, and then you bring retribution against them, as is your moral right. Okay, now we can go to 21 minutes and 30 seconds.
Oh, wait, except for guns. Because we got to monopolize guns in the hands of, the ultimate protection agency that is the state. And if we don't monopolize that, then we devolve into gang warfare.
Now, I don't know what objectivist he was talking to that said, oh, wait, we have to monopolize guns. So we don't allow any monopolies except the use of force and guns. Now, I don't know who he was talking to. I do not think that any reasonable objectivist would say that the citizens shouldn't be allowed to own weapons. Euron Brook might say they shouldn't, but if he does say that, he's insane. The Second Amendment is the most important amendment, and it comes after the First Amendment only because the Founding Fathers didn't want to appear, politically incorrect. It really should be the First Amendment. So, not to belittle freedom of speech, I'm actually being a little bit hyperbolic here, but the Second Amendment's very important. And anyone who belittles the wisdom of the Founding Fathers is, yeah, that's a rough position to be in. No, we need our guns. We have a right to have our guns. I don't know what objectivist he would have gotten that from. Probably some leftist ninny, some obleftist. What? Are you an objectivist out there that's saying that we shouldn't have guns? I'll tell you what. The only argument that I can find is that we shouldn't have guns that are a way that you would respond to protect your individual rights in a way that should be preempted by the government. The government should have the right. For example, the government cannot preempt the right to protect you from a knife attack in your home at night, right? But the government can preempt the right from you protecting yourself from being nuked by North Korea. You can't just build a nuke in your backyard and say, I feel like North Korea might nuke us, and therefore you nuke North Korea. You can't do that. The government has the right at some level, you know. Objectively, rationally, you couldn't say that in your kitchen, if somebody breaks into your house, you shouldn't defend yourself. But you can't defend yourself against North Korea. That's the government's business. And in between there, somewhere, there's a gray line where it meets. But to say you shouldn't have the right to defend yourself is bizarre. Who has been? So this is straw manning again. This is straw manning again. Now, let's see where we can go next. 21 minutes, 45 seconds. Oh, that's where we are right now.
Which, of course, the obvious response is that when you monopolize force, you haven't gotten rid of gang warfare. You've just made your gang win.
All right, there we go. If you monopolize force, you haven't gotten rid of gang warfare. You've just made your gang win. Is that true? So, if that's true, this is hilarious, because earlier in the video he says that an objectivist said to him, your morals are no better than a communist. And he was shocked and he said, I thought we were basically on the same page. So here we go. Let's look at this. He says, you set up a government and your gang has won. That's what he says. So, his claim, clearly, is that a government is a gang. Right. So, can he tell the difference, using that definition and that principle, can he tell the difference between Nazi Germany and the United States of America? He cannot tell the difference, can he? So his morals, his politics certainly, are no better than a communist's. And since politics is a derivation of morals, we can see where his morals lie too. So I'm afraid that that objectivist who told him his morals were no better than communists was right. Absolutely correct. Pathetic. Pathetic garbage. Let's see. Soviet Russia's equal to the USSR. Equal to the USA. Don't think so. Oh, alright, we can turn the page here. 38 minutes and 50 seconds. Let us see what they have. Oh, we're skipping a bit in here. This is a damn nuisance to watch it because you have to listen very carefully to what they say in case you would miss something that would inadvertently make you look the fool when you speak out against it. So we have to be careful, don't we? 38 minutes and 50 seconds, which is a few seconds after this. I'll give you a countdown.
As who? In whose opinion does an act serve life? Do you see what I'm saying? So if I'm going to use this equation called what serves life to determine if an action was evil, in whose opinion? Who makes that evaluation?
Who makes that evaluation? If I'm going to do this thing that says this or that action is evil, who makes that evaluation? You make that evaluation for yourself, using your mind, your evidence, and the facts that are before you, and your values. You determine that for yourself. Then he says, what if he's wrong? Could his reason be wrong? Sure. Sure, his reason could be wrong. He might reason to himself that he should go to a birthday party when in fact he should have gone to work. Sure, his reasoning could be wrong. Of course. There's no guarantee of infallibility. What a ridiculous question. Yes, his reason could be wrong. Yes. But what sense does it say he has to go to some other authority? Who would he possibly check with? Who would you possibly check with if you didn't believe your own mind? Whose mind would you believe? What a strange idea. Of course he's the final arbiter of his own rationality and his own actions. Of course the individual is in charge of his mind and his values. Of course. This guy wouldn't know that. Oh, Hershey Kiss over here. Now then. 42 minutes and 40 seconds.
And yes, objectivists are way more unified. I want to call out a couple good comments that we've had here because I think they're kind of on point to exactly what we're talking.
There we go.
Justice and collective defense. And it seems like they just walk away from all of the beautifully consistent principles that they hold when they get to that point. What do you say?
Well,
the note here I made was whose reason, and couldn't he be wrong? Which I guess we just addressed there, isn't it? All right, terrible. I should have read my notes ahead a little bit better. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's where I've gotten to in this. I'm 45 minutes in, and it's taken me at least an hour and a half to listen that far. So I thought I would do what I've digested. So as a part one. Now, I don't know how much more they're going to have that's that interesting. I'm listening really hard, and all I'm finding is straw mans and ridiculous misunderstandings. I am so tempted to come to the view, and I have not been of this viewpoint most of my life. For most of my life, my viewpoint has been if people would stop and think and focus and pay attention and learn about things, then they could understand these things. But now I'm getting to the point where I'm thinking, Jesus, maybe this is just above them. Maybe this is just over their fucking heads. Maybe they just can't get this shit. Like the non-aggression principle? Really? Objectivists are not into initiating force. We're just going to set up a thing that it retaliates against the initiation of force. What can't you get your head around about that? It is not a gang unless the Soviet Union and Nazi Germany are identical to the United States. So your morals are the morals of the sewer, sir. What garbage. Respond if you like. I haven't been very nice, but you straw-manning objectivism is pathetic, sir.